Hello guys and welcome back to Big Brother, and this is the finale of the season. This is the last video that I'm going to be making recapping the show before we do our tier list on Tuesday. But before we get into the episode, I just want to say I'm probably not going to be doing much from Thursday night episode. I am purely going to be focusing on the finale episode. Thursday's episode was kind of filler. There was some moments where they were doing some beauty treatments, and then there was a discussion about Hannah and Shagan, but we got plenty to talk about with Hannah and Shagan anyway, so I figured we might as well just discuss it in this episode. So without much further ado, let's get into talking about our finalists, and we're going to be counting down from 6th place to 1st place. But first, we have to talk about some unpleasantries at last night's dinner. So we had the final dinner, which is something that they do for the finale people, the finalists, and I thought it was really cute at first. Everyone was given soppy speeches, everyone was being just really nice, lovely, compliments were flying everywhere, and then a little bit later on, we saw an argument break out, and I was sat there like, oh no, oh god, here we go again. And as somebody who watched the parts of the live feed that included the argument, it was all over Twitter. I watched a bit of it live on TV. It was heavily edited for the episode. And it was heavily edited, in my opinion, to make Ali look bad. Because there was a lot that Ali said on the actual live stream that I agreed with and I thought was fair points. There was a lot that other people said that was fair points. But what we saw on that TV was Ali just being backed into a corner by everybody, and it's how it felt on the live stream anyway. It did feel like she was kind of being ganged up on by pretty much every other housemate apart from Shagan, and it just gave bad vibes. I just feel like it was a little bit unnecessary. Marcello, in my opinion, absolutely lost any right to talk, in my opinion, when he was screaming, "Who do you think you are?" at Ali. Well, he wasn't screaming, but he was shouting at her, and I just thought, it's just rude, isn't it? It's just not very nice. You're an unpleasant person, because it was only yesterday that you were talking about how much you were like, oh, I really wish we could have gotten on, and yet you're still bringing up the old shit that you were like, oh, I wish we could have gotten past that. You're the one that can't get past it, seemingly. You, not Ali. So loads of people on Twitter were like, oh, I'm so glad that Marcello was calling out Ali. Why? Like, I don't get it. I personally don't get it. But I feel like that's the thing with reality TV shows. People have opinions on people that you just don't agree with. You just don't vibe with that person. And that was absolutely fair and valid. You can't attack me. I don't attack anybody for having an opinion on a person. I might disagree and I might be like, I don't agree with that, but I'm not going to sit here and call you a horrible person because you don't agree with me. Feels like a lot of people would like to do that to me, and it's just a bit jarring. The amount of people I've had to block on Twitter because they just don't stop. I'm like, please, I actually just don't care. I'm just like tweeting, just leave it alone. Anyway, we're gonna move on to 6th place. So 6th place turned out to be, rather predictably, Shagan. He shouldn't have been in the final, in my opinion. I think Baked Potato was rightfully 6th place, in my opinion. She should have been there. I do, however, think that we were grateful to keep Shagan in because we got the whole Shagan Hannah drama that's been erupting over the last couple of days, and it did keep the last couple of episodes interesting. He was obviously asked about that, and he said he left things with Hannah civil, which made it sound like they had had an argument and they were just like, okay, we'll just agree to disagree on this. And I was like, oh, that doesn't sound good. And I am very, very glad that they called him out on the conversation that he had with Khaled. However, I do have the feeling that he kind of just had that conversation, forgot he had that conversation. And so when the people at home saw that conversation and then called him out over it, I feel like he was like, I genuinely don't remember saying that. But then when he rewatched it, he was like, yeah, okay, fair enough, I did say that. Yeah. He just gives me, like, I'm trying to keep it all sort of like, oh, no, it's all chill, it's all calm, it's all fine. But actually, I noticed numerous times throughout this episode, and obviously late in live as well, that he kept on trying to palm it off on Hannah. And it's exactly how Ali called it in the house at the end of the day. She said, I think he's trying to make out like Hannah's doing all the flirting when it's actually just both of them. And we saw it live. He was trying to do the exact same thing. So you can't even argue that it was edited. 6th place, he's won 10k out of the prize pot, which I think is bullshit, first of all. If you're going to give people extra money, just give them extra money. Don't take it out of the prize fund. Because the fact that the winner is walking away with 90 grand instead of the 100 grand that obviously was given out last year, that's ridiculous in my opinion. That needs to stop right this second. But yeah, on the whole, I thought it was an interesting position for Shegan to be in. I don't think he would have made it to the final without that stupid vault twist. But I'm kind of grateful he did, just so that we had those last couple of days with Hannah and Shegan, and sort of Shegan's not duplicitous nature, but sort of the fact that he's saying one thing to one person and then forgetting that he said that, and then saying another thing to another person and then having to backtrack. It just got a little bit awkward. So in 5th position, we had Nathan. Now, Nathan was obviously questioned over baked potato, and I felt like too much of his interview was focused on that rather than focusing on some of the things that he said in the house, especially to do with Khaled. It would have been nice for some sort of recognition and sort of, I don't know, just for them to bring it up. However, and this is something that I will say, I sat there at the time and I was like, oh, I wonder why they didn't ask him about that. But I think that's because he has acknowledged within the house that he was wrong to say that. He shouldn't have said it. It was etc, etc, etc. And when people got called out in these exit interviews, it was for things that they hadn't been held accountable for or hadn't owned up to. And Khaled made sure that he held Nathan accountable for those comments. So I feel like if Khaled is content with what Nathan was saying about him, leave the conversation there. It doesn't need to be dredged up over and over again. Speaking of dredging things up over and over again, they kept on bringing up baked potato, obviously. And I thought it was interesting because they asked him, would you have left over her? And he was like, he was like, I'm an RN. And I was like, oh, this guy is gonna fuck this up. And he was like, I just didn't want to have a backdoor exit. And I think baked potato would have wanted a backdoor exit more than I would have. And you could just see her face in the audience going, what? Yeah. Combos needs to be had between those two. Oops. Oopsie. But I also do feel like they are genuine. I think both of them have come out and been like, wait, what? You guys don't think it's real? I do think it's genuine. I never doubted it for a second. Everyone was far too cynical, thinking that he was using her for attention or using her for screen time. Maybe it's just as simple as two people found a connection and were like, and found comfort in each other in such a weird social experiment. Is that not more of a likely thing than they're game playing and they're lying and they're keeping up this facade for weeks and weeks on end? I don't know. I don't know how long it will last, whether it will even last, but I don't know. You just got to roll with it at the end of the day. I will say this, I felt like they were far more genuine than half the couples that come out of Love Island, let's be honest. So with the predictable positions of 5th and 6th going to Nathan and Shegan respectively, it got to 4th place and I was a little bit like, this is where things start to get a little bit troublesome. Because ideally, Marcello would be 4th place. Ideally, let's be honest. I mean, I've got a whole notes page full of all the horrible, nasty stuff he's done in the house. Like, come on. I don't know how people were voting for him. It was literally like, how do you vote for a man that is saying and doing all of these horrible things? He literally said multiple times, oh yeah, I used to cheat on my girlfriends first, so that if they ever cheated on me, I could be like, ha, I cheated on you first. What? Huh? That's not okay. Anyway, less about Marcello, more about our actual 4th place person, which was Hannah. I was kind of surprised. I gotta be honest. There was a strong Hannah support network on Twitter. For better or for worse, they could be a bit much, but then so could Ali fans at the end of the day. Some Ali fans, y'all are crazy. Y'all are not okay. I'm an Ali fan, but I'm not that Ali fan. So anyway, Hannah coming fourth was a huge shock to me. She was second or third for me. I couldn't decide between her and Emma, in my opinion. Those two were so sort of neck and neck. You had Hannah, who brought like drama, flair, passion to the house, and then you had Emma, who was bringing comedy, bitchiness, just execution of one-liners, stirring things up. She always knew how to start a cracking conversation. You just had two people who were so amazing, but Hannah was our fourth place person. I'm sad. I gotta be honest. I'm sad because obviously a lot of her exit interview was devoted to the whole Shegan situation. She was shown the clip of Shegan saying to Khaled that it's always Hannah coming to me. It's always Hannah coming to me. And then she said some interesting things. She said that apparently Shegan would be the one to come up to her on eviction night and be like, oh, never dress like that again. Like, yeah. Like, come on. It's flirty banter, yes, but you're flirting with her as much as she's flirting with you. Let's be honest. Let's actually be honest. And then obviously Shegan was like, and she was like, we will talk after this because I don't respect that. And I was like, oh my God. And then the rest of the show, she was absolutely fuming with Shegan. I was like, raw. They kept on trying to be like, oh, but like he did say loads of lovely stuff. And she's like, yeah, but that one thing mugged me off. Like, no wonder my girls came after him. I was like, ooh. But yeah, Hannah was an absolutely fantastic housemate. I really enjoyed her. I had a little bit of a roller coaster journey in the same way that I had a roller coaster journey with Olivia in the last series. I didn't like her at first. No, I liked her at first. I liked Hannah at first. Then around about the Red Witch situation, that really pissed me off. I didn't like her. Then I liked her again. And then the vampire stuff happened and I was like, that was just nasty and unwarranted, and it would have actually wound me so far up the wall that I think that would have done irreparable damage to me and Hannah's relationship. However, she then picked back up in the last couple of weeks, and I actually did enjoy her at the end. I felt like she was so genuine throughout her time in the house that you can't fault her too much. The only thing I can fault her for is the fact that sometimes she just behaved in a way that I didn't appreciate. But that the same could be said for numerous people in the house, let's be honest. So, we have got our third place person as Emma. I was in shock and awe that Marcello managed to make it to top 2, but what are you going to do at the end of the day? America literally just elected a sex offender into the White House. So, and Marcello's nowhere near that level, obviously, but still, you see where I'm going with that. Anyway, Emma, absolutely iconic housemate. Genuinely one of the most memorable housemates from this entire series. There was a moment in Thursday's episode where they're bitching about Shegan on the bed. Shegan walks in and she seamlessly switches the conversation. Like, she just flows the conversation to change it to something else. I was like, that takes skill. It's something that even I'm not incredible at. I can do it sometimes, but sometimes I'm fumbling and I'm like, oh, and then the person's like, what's going on? Whereas the way she was talking about him, and then she completely changed the subject mid-sentence to something completely, like, different, and it just flowed so well. I was like, oh my God, this woman's amazing. Love or hate her bitching, we all do it. We all bitch about people. Whether it's incessantly talking about Lily all the time, we all have that one person that whenever we meet up with our friends, you're like, oh, have you heard what this person's done? Oh, I can't stand her. Oh, did you hear what Patsy's wearing today? Oh, God, disgusting. You have that one person with your friends that you constantly bitch about. Everybody has it. And if you don't, you might not have friends. But I do think it's very interesting. She came out and she was like, yeah, besties with Nathan. And then there was a moment where I can't remember what had been said, but she said something and she was talking and Will was like, and she just turned around and went, what are you umming at? What are you umming at? And I just love the fact that she was just chatting back to Will and AJ. Will and AJ, sometimes they struggle to hold these kind of conversations without it feeling a little bit plastic. Sometimes they're absolutely fine, but sometimes I feel like it is just a little bit plastic and a little bit dull. But I'm not, it's not the end of the world for me. I'm not watching Late and Live much. I haven't watched it much this series purely because I felt it was biased and unfair towards certain people. It was just not a pleasant watch, I can't say, especially when ZZ Mills was there. Sometimes those episodes were tough to watch. But anyway, Emma, iconic housemate, loved her to pieces. Will miss seeing her on my screen every night, but hopefully she'll be popping up in another series very shortly. The Traitors. Put her on The Traitors. America. Call and put her on The Traitors. Along with Ali. Please. So our second place person was Marcello, which means that Ali has won, but we will talk about that in a second because I'm so happy. But Marcello is second, and honestly, I'm glad that AJ especially held Marcello accountable for some of the things that he said in the house. They brought up the dodgy comments. They even, I thought they listed the worst ones. There was one where like she was like, oh yeah, you like, I feel like there were worse ones than the ones that AJ brought up, and I was like, oh okay, sure, we'll go for the less damning ones. And as Marcello's sort of fumbling his way through explaining it, she just turns around and goes, well, as a woman, I'm going to tell you that it's actually a disgusting comment and that it wasn't okay that you said that. And Marcello, instead of apologising, just went, oh, maybe I should have just kept it within the group then. And I was like, so you're not actually saying, oh, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have made those comments. You're just saying, oh, I shouldn't have said them on national TV and I should have just said them to my friends in private. Oh, it's not the kind of accountability that we want you to take, mate, at the end of the day. You said some horrible things. You said some very derogatory things as well. And yet you're being called out and you don't apologise. Even to save face, I would apologise. I'd just be like, oh, I'm sorry. It was just heat of the moment stuff. I wasn't really thinking straight. I did make sure to apologise to Sarah afterwards, etc., etc. But there were numerous comments and there were numerous moments that were just... But anyway, it is what it is. Marcello came second, and watching his face during the entire Ali interview, absolute treat. Cannot stand the man, but at least he is out of the house now, and I never have to see him on my TV again, unless ITV, like, bring him on to, like, present something. Oh, God, could you imagine? Could you imagine? No, no more Marcello, please. No more Marcello. So, time to talk about Ali. I've actually got the most notes from her exit interview. Her exit interview went on doubly as long as everybody else's. Obviously a well-deserved winner. She made the season what it was. She made it 10 times more entertaining. Love her, hate her. You can't deny that she was a good housemate in terms of entertainment, in terms of stirring things up. I don't think you can make an argument for the fact that she didn't contribute heavily to this series. 51.9% of the vote was for Ali to win. That's over half, obviously. But that is over 2.5 million votes just for Ali to win. Let that sink in. Last year, we had Jordan winning on about 35, 36%. I think it was around about that. That's crazy for her to have won with 51% of the vote, which means that the other votes, which is kind of crazy, the other votes to save or for the people to win for Marcello, Hannah, Emma, Nathan, Shegan, Baked Potato, Sarah, and Thomas, all of those votes didn't even make up half of the vote. Guys, that's kind of crazy, I can't lie. Like, that's actually kind of crazy. But anyway, obviously, they brought up Lily, and she was like, oh, I love Lily like a little sister. She's my little sister. I wanted to protect her. She talked about how she felt anxious when people had left, which obviously you're going to. And she had to sort of make sure that she found new people to talk to that she hadn't necessarily spent much time with before. And I think that's absolutely fair enough. She brought up the Shegan comments and she was like, I need to watch the show back and see whether I was actually right in that. However, with everything that has come out about Shegan, obviously, I would just like to say that my feelings on Shagun was more that he wasn't showing his true self, in terms of he wasn't showing enough of his true self. It was very sort of guarded and kept back, which I found very interesting. The Red Witch comments didn't upset her. What upset her was the context, and they actually played the clip because Shagun was trying to pass it off as a joke. Oh, it was said in jest. It was just a joke. It was just a joke. But when you watch the clip back, it's said with like, it's said seriously, and then you've got Hannah in the background being sort of quite sort of like punctual with her words, like, yeah, we need to get her out. We need to get her out. It doesn't come across as a joke even slightly, and they actually made a joke out of it, and Ali was kind of sat there like, guess I was right. Like, do you know what I mean? It just proves her correct at the end of the day, and it, as much as it sucks, like, it is what it is. And then when talking about Khaled, this is the last thing she spoke about, I actually found it very interesting that she said, I just watch people, and Emma is right in the fact that I get ideas in my head, I get stuck on those ideas, and therefore I look for things that will support my reasoning. And I found that very interesting because she said that she noticed that he was being potentially quite fake, and then when she actually got to know him, she still stood by what she said, but she realized that there was a lot more beyond that. That was just the first thing that she was seeing, and therefore once she got beyond that, she was able to enjoy Khaled's presence in the house a lot more. But at first it was just that part of him that was jarring to her. So that is another year of Big Brother done. I am retiring from Big Brother for now until probably Celebrity Big Brother comes back. I don't know how I'm going to do that. Probably every 2 days as per usual, as per this series, obviously. But I hope you guys have enjoyed. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Do all of that YouTube stuff that you guys do so well. And I will see you guys later. Keep on ranting. And I will see you guys. I've already said that. I will see you guys. Bye-bye. Keep on ranting. See ya. Bye. I'm going to stop saying bye now.